Joining me on the program from the Maxim Institute, Tim Wilson. Tim, kia ora. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Andrew. How you doing?
Yeah, doing very well. It would be fair to say that something needs to be done to perhaps encourage a participatory democracy, but sorry if my cynicism is showing, I'm not sure this is it. I'm not sure that this tweaking is going to make a difference in terms of the substance of democracy in New Zealand.
Okay, why is that?
Honestly, it seems that the sorts of changes that are being proposed through the coalition are, I mean, if we list them, I suppose we're saying that the prisoners aren't able to vote, and there's an argument for and against that one. But the other things
we're against it. We can rip into it. We're against taking away prisoners' right to vote. Shall we get started, Andrew? The gloves are already off.
Let's jump into it, Tim. What are your views on this one?
Well, what's been fascinating is that we've actually oscillated back and forwards on this throughout most of the last century. So prisoners sentenced in 1905 to more than 1 year disenfranchised. In 1956, all sentenced prisoners lost the vote. Brief liberalisation in 1975. 1977 restored the blanket ban, etc., etc., etc. What's fascinating is that other jurisdictions have, for example, Australia's blanket ban on prisoner voting was declared unconstitutional by the High Court there. And our sense at Maxim is that voting is a fundamental right. Now, when people commit crimes, yes, we take away their liberty, but we don't take away their freedom from being tortured, their freedom of conscience, and voting is an exercise of that. But also, you would say too that prisoners are somewhat subject to the whims of politicians, so shouldn't they be allowed to be part of the political process? We believe they should.
Certainly, there seems to be an aspect of politicisation here, that this is part of the narrative of saying, hey, tough on crime. Yes, we're going to lock people up. Yes, we'll have 3 strikes. Yes, we'll take away their rights, including their voting rights. I'm not sure this will be tipping point for those incarcerated in Aotearoa. It's not going to say, oh, gosh, not my voting rights. Well, I'll give up my life of crime.
Yeah. And what's fascinating for us is the government actually recognises the importance of connection to the prison population. I don't know if you knew this, but any member of parliament, whenever they consider it appropriate, they may enter a prison and examine it and the conditions of the prisoners. Okay. So the government recognises the power it wields in that, in that particular segment of the population. So if the government recognises that, we think that the electoral process should recognise it also.
Some of the other tinkering around such things as when people, how long before the election people have to register. Of course, we had same-day registration and voting in the last election. In some ways, putting this back in, saying, oh, no, you need to get organised and register this long before the election, is that just putting a barrier in the way of democracy, Tim?
Look, we've been thinking about this for a bit, and our sense is that convenience isn't perhaps the issue with democracy. It's meaningfulness. And there's actually, I think there's some pretty good information about the administrative issues in and around the trust and sustainability of the electoral process. So, for example, 2023 general election, the Auditor General's report, there was a 46% increase in late enrolments compared with 2020, including 110,000 on election day. And those are all counted as special votes. And special votes actually each special vote takes up to 10 times longer to process than an ordinary vote. And the Commission was forced last time to shortcut quality assurance checks. And we're in a situation at the moment where there's already declining trust in politicians, in our institutions. We don't want to further send that to the bottom by actually putting the system under undue strain.
Some people would say, what price democracy, though? That, hey, if this is what it takes to encourage a participatory democracy where every member of the society, whether or not they've managed to get on board with registering in advance, that this is the price we pay for a participatory democracy. Yes, it's not as convenient, but democracy's always been a bit messy.
Yeah, democracy has always been a bit messy, and also democracy is meaningful. So, I mean, I don't know what you find with kids, for example, but if you make something a bit hard, it becomes more valuable to
Yeah.
them.
Okay.
So that's I think that that might be a suitable application more generally. I know it certainly applies to me as well.
And hey, whilst we're sticking with the how to incentivize children metaphor, there is no interest, it seems, by the coalition government in 16-year-olds being able to vote, and there's a ban on, well, not specifically Mr. Whippy, but there's a ban on entertainment or free food available anywhere near polling booths. It sounds like the
Yeah.
fun police have got involved in this one, Tim.
Oh, well, in regards of the ban on 16-year-olds voting, the evidence is actually mixed as to whether that increases engagement. So,
Okay.
for example, that happened in the Scottish elections, and there wasn't a particularly measurable increase. So the 16-year-old thing, well, okay, well, we picked 16. Why not pick 14? Why
Yeah.
not pick 12? So we're content with 18,
Yeah.
so that's fine now. But you have opened up a big can of trouble with Mr. Whippy and the
Mr. Whippy.
sausage sizzle.
Yeah.
Maybe they shouldn't be free, but how about a 10-cent sausage if you go and vote? So
It's good enough
and
for
that could be-
Bunnings.
Absolutely.
It's the Australian democracy sausage. There's a long tradition for this one. Look,
Yeah.
as I said at the beginning, I don't want to be too cynical on this, but this does look like the tinkering is all moving in favour of the incumbent government, of the current coalition. That the people who are likely to register late, the people who are overrepresented within our prison system, younger people, and all of these people are less likely to vote right of centre, if that makes sense. It seems a little bit like the tinkering that's happening by the current government is to tinker in the direction of their favour. I mean, we're not talking electoral meddling, but it's certainly electoral tinkering, perhaps.
I I can understand the administrative necessity of wanting to have a 2 week period where the mechanisms of democracy get themselves in order. So I mean, yes, it may appear like that. Is it actually that? Because they're exposing themselves to the risk of being accused of politicizing things. I think the arguments that the Auditor General's made are pretty strong, and the Auditor General is an independent organisation. It's there whether there's a Labour government, coalition government, national government in power.
And hey, maybe we can get ice creams on the way back from the polling booth, and everybody wins in that regard.
I'll tell you what, you vote early, Andrew. I'll shout you a Mr. Whippy myself.
Thank you. Can I have a flake? Anyway.
No, you can't have a flake until you clean your damn bedroom.
We'll get on to the details later. Tim, thank you so much for bringing some insight to this important topic. Thanks for joining us today.
Always a pleasure. Catch you later.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.